It's actually happening. Aaron Glenn has informed teams that he will be taking the New York Jets head coaching job, barring any shocking setbacks. And he's also revealed some potential guys who he might bring in as his coordinators, as he wants a veteran who's done this before. And we're going to break it all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris and Matt here, and we're going to jump right into the video because Aaron Glenn has revealed that he does intend on taking the New York Jets job. Now, this was revealed today, this morning, and when we take a look at this, and we don't want Matt here because nobody likes Matt. He's just the worst. So, as mentioned, Aaron Glenn has made it known that he's planning to take the New York Jets head coaching job as early as yesterday, according to multiple league sources, and this is the expectation barring a major setback or flub. Now, there's still a world, Matt, where Aaron Glenn does take an interview with the New Orleans Saints, but it's basically all said and done. Aaron Glenn is informing teams that he's planning on taking the New York Jets job. The New York Jets have informed multiple candidates that this is the way they're going with Glenn. So it's now in this situation where the New York Jets, the last thing that has to happen is just pen needs to be put to paper, the signing needs to be made, and it's got to be official. Now, taking a look real quick at another report by Jordan Schultz, he mentioned that Aaron Glenn has landed back in Detroit via Woody Johnson's private jet. No deal has happened as of right now, but sources say a substantial offer was made and the Jets' job is Aaron Glenn's if he wants it, which he has said he does. Glenn is currently constructing his potential staff, which would ideally include Lions quarterbacks coach Mark Burnell if he doesn't get the offensive coordinator job in Detroit now that Ben Johnson's in Chicago. And he would be in play as the offensive coordinator for Aaron Glenn. Schultz was also told that Glenn wants to bring in a veteran defensive coordinator who has been a former NFL head coach. Glenn is still putting his offensive staff together. Former Jets special teams coach Mike Westhoff could be an option should he decide to come out of retirement, and Glenn is currently scheduled to interview with the Saints later this week. However, if he's putting together his staff, specifically looking at a guy like Westhoff who coached for the New York Jets, figuring out his offensive coordinator, which it feels like he's got a top candidate for, unless Dan Campbell takes him, which I imagine Glenn would kind of just not have the pull there, understandably. And then they'd move in another direction to find an offensive coordinator. I love the idea that Aaron Glenn wants to bring a former NFL head coach in as the defensive coordinator. And I do have to bring it up real quick, Matt. Rex Ryan. He's a former NFL head coach. I had to say it.
That's a pretty smart connection that you made, Chris. I was not even thinking of that. We heard we heard a couple months ago that Aaron Glenn, this was the job he wanted if he was going to be offered it, but this was a confirmation that we needed. It was getting a little bit. Some people were a little bit worried because it started looking like as of last night it was trending in the wrong direction. A lot of people were expecting him to sign yesterday, and the fact that he didn't sign, that was making some people think that he wasn't going to be the Jets head coach. But this is the confirmation that we were looking for. Like you said, it's not official, but it's as official as it can possibly be without the contract being signed. Aaron Glenn is 100% chance going to be the New York Jets head coach. There is nothing going to stop this. He's a head coach. Looking at who he can bring in, like you said, we both really like the idea of an ex-head coach coming in because they are going to bring head coaching experience, which is something that Aaron Glenn does not have. There's no way for him to get that and still take this Jets job. So if you want Aaron Glenn, he's going to have to come with no head coaching experience. Is it going to be Rex Ryan? I would think almost definitely not. It's a fun thought, but he doesn't have any connections to Rex Ryan. He doesn't have any connections. Doesn't have good enough connections with Rex Ryan, and he does have connections with other real ex head coaches like Wilkes, ex Arizona Cardinals head coach. I talked about him in the video earlier today. He is one of the names for defensive coordinator. The other name you mentioned, Mark Brunell. The other name for offensive coordinator that we're hearing right now is ex-Chargers head coach Anthony Lynn. Both guys with ex-head coaches, just like you said, guys that can help Aaron Glenn. When Aaron Glenn has a question, he's going to be able to go to one of those guys and ask them, and they're going to know the answer because they've been the head coach. So usually when you're the head coach, there's not really anyone to ask questions to if you have a problem. So it's going to be good to see that Aaron Glenn's going to have people around him who are going to be able to help him out and are going to be able to answer questions should he have them.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect situation for Aaron Glenn. Hiring a guy as your defensive coordinator who's an ex-head coach just makes a ton of sense. You want that head coaching experience in the building in some form. No, I don't think it's going to be Rex Ryan either. I had to bring it up. But yeah, a few different names there who could be taking over for the New York Jets defensive coordinator position. I'm interested to see how they would run a defense and how Aaron Glenn would handle being the head coach and not a defensive coordinator when he's been a good defensive coordinator for the Lions. So it is interesting to see Glenn, as he said, he's going to be a coach. He's going to talk to the offense just as much as the defense, which means he is going to hire a defensive coordinator as well, even if Glenn has a major say in how the defense is ran, which I like. Obviously, Glenn knows how to run a modern defense. It's good to have a coordinator, though, so Aaron Glenn can focus on just a lot. Obviously, when Jeff Ulbrich was the interim head coach, it hurt them because he couldn't focus on the defense as much. So you think of that, and you think about how hiring a guy who's just coached as a head coach in the NFL just would solve a lot of issues pretty quickly when you think of that comparison. Also, Aaron Glenn stepping up, and he's ready for this. He's not getting tossed into the fire randomly the way that Jeff Ulbrich is. But yeah, as you said, 100% Aaron Glenn's the next Jets head coach. I mean, Woody Johnson gave him the private jet back to Detroit. Like, the Jets know they want Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn knows he wants to be the Jets head coach. It's just logistics at this point. It's going and formally telling the Detroit Lions in person that he is going to be leaving for the New York Jets. It's talking to a potential offensive coordinator who works for the Lions to also probably discuss that him taking the job with Dan Campbell and who he wants to take with him off of Dan Campbell's staff. I mentioned this in a video previously, but something I saw from a Lions Twitter account was someone saying basically, obviously it's going to suck losing most likely Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson in the same offseason, but it's not just that. They're going to be taking some of the Lions' brain trust with them. A lot of resources are going to be leaving for the Detroit Lions, and you see a lot of this could be going to the New York Jets, which is such a good sign. Like, we've said it so many times, it's the perfect team to build a tree from, essentially, if you're the Jets, or to take from the tree, because they know what it's like to turn around a franchise. Aaron Glenn knows what it's like to turn around a franchise, and he's been with the Jets. He's had experience with the Jets both in the 90s, in the early 2000s, in the 2010s. Aaron Glenn's been around the Jets a lot, and now he steps into this role that is just going to work. And I think I would love if they could take an offensive coordinator from the Lions the way that offense ran, especially quarterbacks coach, but it will be interesting to see how that works and where the Lions want to move, and likely it'll be hard for Glenn, but I imagine he will be taking some of his staff away from the Detroit Lions, and I love that personally.
Yep, could not have said it better. The Lions had a phenomenal turnaround that the New York Jets are going to try to emulate here going forwards. So, I mean, I was just watching the Ben Johnson press conference. Happened like at 12:30 today, and some of those answers are like, it's exciting to hear how a new person could have a new perspective on your team. So I can't wait to see Aaron Glenn's introductory press conference. I can't wait to see what he has to say about the New York Jets.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this. I think Aaron Glenn, he's just going to say all the right things. As I said, he has that chronic issue of just always saying the right thing no matter what happens. Aaron Glenn's the man. I'm excited to see what the staff comes out with. Obviously, we will be updating you guys the second that we'll probably do a video once it's official, because, why not? It'll actually probably be titled It's Official, in fact, because we like that title. But no, we'll also obviously discuss a lot further on coordinators, on other situations. And then once that gets down, once we see the coordinators get down, we're going to see all the player stuff happen as well. Who's staying, who's going, and we're going to get into that. So, guys, make sure you're subscribed to Jets Digest. Like this video, turn on post notifications. Have a great day. Short video because, well, frankly, Matt and I have decided to have a sword fight right now. With metal swords. That came out wrong. Go Jets.